is the key. Cool, everything's rolling, we're in focus. Beautiful. Episode 86 of From Everyone. I'm here with Auzi Agnelli, vocalist of Ratblood. I realized last week with Anthony, I got like 20 minutes into the episode and went, I never said what band you were in. So we're doing better already this week. Success.
Roselane. Shout out Rose.
Shout out Roselane. Shout out Shape Thrower. Shout out all the homies we'll be talking about today. Beautiful. Before we get into stuff, my little plug here is that we booked music videos for 2025. So if you're listening and interested in a music video, let's talk. Let's make that happen. I know Ratblood's got a little pause coming up here, but I'm sure there's plenty of stuff to talk about in the future coming up. I want to start by going back in time a little bit here. You guys just played a show at a skate park in Worcester.
Yes.
And it looked like this big like outdoor festival. And my first thought here always is like, how are the police not called? Like, how does this thing not get shut down?
They were working it. Yeah. They were like the pizza guys.
What?
Yeah, no. I don't know what that was.
This makes sense to me.
There was like just halfway through the concert, some guy was like, yeah, there's going to be pizzas here every 40 minutes because there was like 150 people.
Hell
just
yes.
Passively coming in and out.
Hell yes.
And they would just like drive through a baseball field like behind where we were playing with like their lights flashing. We're like, this shit shut down. Like, we're fucked. And then we just get out with more pizza. I'm like, fucking whatever.
How, do you know who organized this? Like, how on earth do we end up with police delivering pizzas to a skate park metal show?
So, because it was like a benefit show, or not a benefit show, it was like a memorial show. Mm-hmm. And I think the person who's been memorialized, somebody who died somehow, but the cops were just involved with the case so closely, I guess, that they were helping work the event. It was interesting. It was cool, but like,
it makes me happy when police support us, where it's like there's so much that like it'd be so easy for them to shut that down. And like, I had someone on here earlier who said that the mayor came and stopped by their skate park show, and it was like,
that's interesting.
Good for that guy. Like, it'd be so easy when you'd be like, no, fuck the skaters, fuck the metalheads.
For
like,
real.
I understand the rap and the reputation that our industry has and our world has.
Yeah, no.
And so when people,
it's such a scary space too, because like it does ask for violence, and that's the last thing a city wants.
Yeah,
so.
Which is also so strange to me because like I have vivid memories of like I think our scene is defined by being outcasts. I think outcasts oftentimes are then kind people because we know what it's like to be ostracized.
Yeah,
and it's this weird dichotomy of like if you looked at our scene, you would think it's the worst thing to host. But I know from venues like rap shows are the ones you don't want to host. Those are the ones where there's going to be violence and problems. Like, our shows are going to be a fight, a scuffle, but like everyone's going home happy and in one piece. There's no problem.
I've thrown 150 metal-related shows.
Damn.
And they've gone fine. And then I throw a single free rap show, and it's like bathroom's fucking trash, like shit's broken. I'm like, whatever.
EDM, same way.
Oh, yeah,
you're going to have just so many drugs happening.
It's like ODs in the fucking parking lot.
100%. And you would think that would be our world, and it's like, no, there's a lot of straight edge in our world. Like, there's a lot of clean kids, and like, it's bizarre to me how we've gotten this like horrific rap of being the worst scene. And it's like, no, it's actually pretty nice people here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's the gang affiliation too is like on both sides of that spectrum. But I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's because like one's less performative.
I think there is something there. I think that there's something in rap where you're trying to be cool and you're trying to be big and boastful. And EDM, I think, is a similar thing. If you're trying to be the hardest flexer in the world.
Yeah. And which is like obviously fine.
Yeah.
That's not my space, but
100%. I'm sure that like there's good and bad in both worlds. Yeah. I'm not trying to villainize. Yeah. I understand there's plenty of good and kind-hearted EDM.
Yeah, for sure.
In our world, it's like, you would assume that this is the worst of the worst. And it's like, no, we're usually good. I always go back, when I was like first getting into shows, my parents were still driving me to the Palladium.
Oh,
and so they would like drop me off at the Palladium, go out to dinner, and then take me home afterwards. And it was nice. And I'm very grateful for them for giving me that.
Yeah, that's a cool spot.
Definitely. And we would stop at the rest stop on the way home, just, get a food or whatever. And I remember the first time my parents like stopped by there and we walk in and it's just everyone who had left the Palladium is now at this rest stop McDonald's. So you walk in and like I remember like feeling them like tense up almost of just like, what the fuck are we getting into here?
Yeah, no.
And then we're walking through and the line like parts and everyone says please and thank you and excuse me. I remember my parents kind of being like, this was not what I thought you were doing all weekend.
Overnight diners have to be like the most open to that space because every concert, like every time I go to a Denny's, it's like everybody from the show at the Denny's. I'm like,
but it always stuck out to me. I'm like, how kind everyone was, and it's like that was not the expectation anyone had walking in there, but it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, my mom conveniently like has been around me and my friends forever, so she like gets the vibe, and she's like, oh no, they're normal people. But yeah, there's definitely people who don't know that.
Did she raise you in like a music household? Was there metal everywhere? Was she a Metallica fan growing up, or was she?
Sort of. So she was like super into Prince and Michael Jackson and like stuff like that, and Def Leppard. So like that was my rock experience growing up. But it was like my uncles who were like,
they're the ones who got you on the slippery slope.
I got the like a Metallica burnt disc from like an uncle, and then like a Slipknot thing when I was in like third grade. I think it was like Subliminal Verses or whatever.
Okay. How old were you when you get the Metallica thing? Same like third grade-ish?
Yeah. Okay. Like either that or second grade. I got a drum kit when I was in second grade, and that's like a real one. And like that's when I started playing drums, and that's when all that music was like the only thing I had in my ears. That and like Good Charlotte. So like,
Number one band of all time. I'll die on the Good Charlotte Hill forever.
yeah, the best industry plant in the world.
Not an industry plant, completely organic and natural. Everything is perfect and flawless.
Okay. They played the Super Bowl.
Did they really?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, they played like.
I'm a bad fan. How did I not know this happened?
Unless it was like a not Super Bowl, but it was definitely a football game with Good Charlotte playing it.
I am going straight to YouTube
TV.
when we hang up. I'll forget about it. I'll be editing this in a couple days and be like, what the fuck is this? It'll take me on a big detour away from this. Awesome. So at second grade, you get a drum set, you said?
Yeah.
That's insane. Whenever I hear this, I always go like, who the fuck is giving their 60-year-old that much noise to be made?
Yeah, my dad was really cool about music. He was super supportive about me being artsy because he knew I wasn't super like school oriented. I think they both knew. I had ADHD and was like diagnosed super young. So
Gotcha,
like,
okay.
They were like, we gotta find what this kid likes and let him do it, or else he's gonna be annoying forever. And it just happened to be music and like video games. So
that's funny. Yeah, drums then become like a hamster wheel almost.
Yeah,
to
no,
like
for
just
real.
let him tucker himself out on these things.
And then that was too loud sometimes, so we got a guitar.
I bet.
And then it was just kind of like that was the two. Guitar and drums, yeah.
Hell yes.
Very young.
And is that all like self-taught? Were you taking lessons this time?
I took lessons for guitars for like probably a couple months. I don't remember. I was so young at the point. I wouldn't have retained anything. They were teaching me chords, and I was like, I don't know what this is.
I want to play Slipknot. None of this is Slipknot. What are we talking
It
about
was
here?
like,
Yeah.
I think I'm good on just making noise until I know what's happening.
Yep.
And then when I turned like 13, 14, that's when I started taking more seriously.
Okay.
And that was a quick rise because I was playing with kids who, like, shut up, I guess, young other Brandon from them. He picked up guitar and was playing like Dragon Force songs within the first year. Like he was a phenomenal like starting guitarist. So I had him kind of being like, logically think about it like this, or theoretically think about it like this, whatever. I'm not going to use the word theory because that's not real. But
someone used the word esoteric on here recently, and I was like, whoa, we're out of my ballpark all of a sudden.
But he was super cool about it. He taught me how to like analyze it, not by like chords. Like I just still don't know chords. I know like how to do them. I don't know what they're called. I know what sounds pretty and what sounds bad. And I try to do the pretty thing. Yep.
so still not theory background. It's all just experience.
Yeah, I think for drums, I know the more of the theory side because that's like snare and tom is snare and tom.
Sure.
Instead of like this is C major, sus7. And it's like I don't know what that means.
You mentioned your buddy like
cool.
Yeah, you mentioned your buddy picked up Dragon Force and was like right into this.
Yeah.
Were you like a similar like quick learner where I'm? We were talking about drums earlier, and I was
drums, yeah.
I was trying to learn What I've Done by Linkin Park the other day.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure this is impossible. Like I'm almost positive. Like I think that to this point in my life, I've learned things that have come easy to me or things that I've enjoyed learning. And drums is the first one of like this feels impossible to me, which is part of the fun now of sitting down and figuring it out. But
I think
where are you in the spectrum of easy learning versus hard learning?
I got lucky with drums.
Okay,
I think I've always had like the rhythm kind of thing in me. I was because when you have ADHD, you move around a lot.
Sure.
So you got to like do what you got to do with your hands and feet. So that kind of carried over.
Interesting.
But that's easy though. I would say for that was easy. Guitar was like everything hurts all the time. Bending notes hurts. Pressing down power chords is awful. And then somebody introduced me to like drop tunings, which is like, oh brother,
so much easier to play.
Like and now I don't. I still do it for the bands I'm in, but like otherwise when I'm like jamming alone, standards like everything, I'm just like, fuck it, I gotta learn. I gotta get better.
Interesting.
So that was the weird path. It started out as like everything hurts, everything's bad.
Yep.
Drop tuning, everything's easy, and then like it got too easy. So I was like, fuck it, make it hard again.
Hell yes. Okay. So now do you find yourself going back and trying to learn theory, or are you kind of happy like not having it?
I learn like I'll learn drum theory.
Okay.
Or I guess in just general writing theory because that's like one thing I focus on, especially with Ratblood because I write everything.
Damn. Okay.
But it's for guitar, it's all chromatic. Just nonsense, like literally first 3 frets. Like that's pretty
Shout
much
out
it.
hardcore, yeah.
Like, for real. So like I don't have to worry too much about that. But but with drums, I hate like repetitive stuff. And I love like weird modes and like weird time things and just like adding stuff where it would like not naturally fall but still sounds good.
Sure.
So I listen to so much jazz now.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Is there a specific jazz artist or a specific like area of jazz, or you just kind of
No, anything that's like weird, like I'll just type in like weird jazz on YouTube and just be like, that's weird jazz.
I can't imagine what pops up. You type in weird jazz.
Oh wow, dude, these people from Berkeley suck, but it's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounds fun.
Like it's a part of music that's so complicated where it's like I know that what they're doing is impressive, but I have no appreciation for it because I just don't understand it.
I love technical music in general, but that's so real. Like you hear like the crazy shreddy death metal, and like I'm like, this shit sounds so bad, but I love it.
This is me with Periphery, right? Like
it's
I
a huge
appreciate them. I
example.
recognize that they are incredible at what they do, but I have such a hard time getting into it because I'm just too musically ignorant to appreciate of like. I
they're
know
old
you're doing
stuff.
polyrhythms and mixing all the beats in the bars, and it's count of 3, count of 4, count of 2, count of 7, and it's like I can regurgitate these terms kind of, but I have no fucking idea what they mean or how to
I
hear
feel
them
you.
and internalize them and appreciate them.
Like I got thrown into the deep end with that, especially with like technical music. Is the first few bands I really ever listened to were like Good Charlotte, Atreyu, Avenged Sevenfold, and Slipknot.
Beautiful.
And then
yes.
so that's Atreyu and Slipknot, who have 2 of the most recognizable like drummers in the world. Or no, Avenged Sevenfold and Slipknot.
There you go. Yeah.
Avenged Sevenfold and Slipknot, who has like some of the 2 most recognizable drummers in the world. Still not like Eloy Casagrande, and Slipknot is the craziest thing. But and then Good Charlotte and Atreyu, who were just massive in their space out of nowhere. Like just pumping out music videos, pumping out singles like crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing these 2 like just phenomenal songwriters and another phenomenal songwriters with like direct support from the drummer being like the main driving force of the whole band. And I kind of got those like crazy, everything's got to be fast, but also dynamic, but also clean in order to be a song thing. So everything sounded good. And then growing up around like maybe when I was 16, 18, people were like, oh, listen to Infinite Annihilator, listen to Meshuggah, listen to like Black Tongue, listen to
Cattle Decap.
yeah, like straight up just everything. Oh, and like the first deathcore band I ever heard in like, what was it? Like 6th grade was Job for a Cowboy.
There you go.
And just this crazy technical stuff that I'd never heard. I heard like yelling a few times, and then I hear that, I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? That shit's crazy.
Yeah, it feels early. I feel like I was still like in the Linkin Park and hearing Linkin Park scream, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then like, it was like middle of high school, and I was finally like, well, there's got to be more of this stuff out there somewhere.
Yeah, like after, oh man, hearing like Knee Deep by Job for a Cowboy. It was like this YouTube video of like SpongeBob playing like the Bubble Dome or whatever it was.
Yep.
And it was like Job for a Cowboy was like playing over it. And I just remember being like, this is so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time I ever heard somebody doing like lows and like highs. Because Slipknot is just Corey Taylor yelling. Avenged Sevenfold was just like M Shadows, whatever his name is,
Sure.
and like the Rev yelling.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like
Good Charlotte and Atreyu are more of the same, kind of like
like
more
there's
middle of the road,
obvious singing, and then
Yeah.
like a tone,
Yeah.
and then like Job for a Cowboy was just like doing crazy stuff, like up high, down low, in the mids. I'm like, fuck, this shit's insane.
Hell yeah. Did you start doing vocals around this middle school time when you were discovering this? Like, does this
No,
kind of
I
kick
actually
off?
like never really did vocals up until I was in like my late 20s. So I'm like 28 now,
Oh
but
yeah, okay, same.
I think I started. I shouldn't say late 20s, but like 22, 23.
Damn.
I don't know if you know who Jarrod Alonge is. Some
Yeah, the
YouTuber.
YouTube guy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He was putting out like music videos, and he was like, oh yeah, just do a cover of this song, and then we'll like put you in the music video or whatever. And there was like a hardcore song, and I had very awful like dog shit everything for it. And there's one part in the song where he was like writing a letter to his mom, like crying, and that like voice that he was doing in there, I was able to do, and that ended up being like what I was good at. So like now that's like what I do.
What a
It's just,
funny.
like, yeah, that's how I cry. It's also video games, like getting mad at video games and just crying.
Fair. Absolutely. Yes.
Like that's the sound I do.
Do video games also pick up in the early elementary school? You mentioned drums in video games are kind of 1 and 2 right in there.
Dude,
What are you
Tony
playing at the
Hawk
time?
games,
Tony Hawk. Yep.
like nobody will ever understand unless you've played them at a young age how much that gets you into music so instantly. Like I was playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 like on PS1.
Yep.
And not that I knew how to use thumbsticks back then, but like
You gotta get those combos, gotta
Yeah,
chain it
it's like
together.
trying to do something like this sucks. The music's cool, I guess. Like Guerrilla Radio starting up on like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I was like, this is the coolest thing.
Yep.
This is so good for your child brain.
Yes. For me, it was like Call of Duty montage. It was my like way in of like everyone was editing to metal. I don't know how metal got involved in that world. It
I
feels
think
like,
it's like that was
a
all the
niche,
royalty-free music on YouTube at the time. It was like
That's it.
Evanescence and like All That Remains
that
and
is
stuff like
probably
that.
exactly what it was. Which is so funny to think of where we are now, where it's like, yeah, if I played a second of the song right now, this is getting claimed and copyrighted
Oh
and
my
gone
god,
immediately. Yeah.
The YouTube, just that whole space right now, especially with copyrights and like, it's
It's a weird world.
it's extreme.
Yeah.
Like I used this is so cringy. I used like a bird. I typed in like "pretty bird outside" sample for like one of my songs in my old band, and like just put like a ton of reverb on it and just like a ton of whatever noise on it. And we still got copyright struck because of like Ed Sheeran bought that video to like use that audio in one of his songs. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It was in the song for like 4 seconds.
That's crazy.
And it was reverbed out. I'm like, what the fuck?
also kind of cool that you and Ed Sheeran had the same idea there. That's kind of, you gotta take something away from that positive.
Let's be emotional and like pretty for 1 second because we're ugly and like we have barely any emotions. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Just driving something that we're totally not. I'll take it, I guess.
Hell yeah. So we're starting to play drums. We're starting to, get into video games in elementary school. When does this, like, 13 or 14 it becomes, like, more serious and real for you?
Yeah, because I started a band with my friends. Who's that young other kid, Brandon, I was talking about. We started a band called On the Count of Three. I think it was we didn't really have a name. That was, like, the name I pitched.
Okay.
And I went on, like, cool fonts. I was like, oh, OTC03. Like, that's the worst thing you could ever type out, and it's nothing, but it looks cool.
Hell yeah.
But, yeah, so we started with that.
Is that, like, metalcore-esque? I assume
Yeah,
it
it was like
deathcore era.
we did, yeah, metal
Okay.
core. It was very bad though.
Sure.
It was like a very rock oriented person, a very metal oriented person, like me who was into the more like blast beaty deathcore stuff at the time, and then like no vocalist. There was just 2 guitarists and then like me on drums.
My favorite question to ask here is you described, in your own words, it was a bad band. Did you know you were bad at the time, or at the time were you like, oh, we're gonna be something tomorrow?
I probably at the time was like, this is the best shit ever. I think when that band, because like we broke up and then got back together, that second time I think I was more down to clown for it.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh yeah, fucking Venture Wave. Fucking dude, we're like playing guitar and shit. This is cool.
Hell yes.
But at the time I was probably like, this is the fucking world famous. This is the best band.
Are you playing shows? Do you remember your first show with them?
No, not with, we never did one with On the Count of Three.
My new favorite band, by the way.
The worst.
Good, Charlotte's number 2 now.
The only thing we ever recorded for that, by the way, was like an iPod Touch recording of us doing a really bad "Rock You Like a Hurricane" cover.
Please tell me that exists somewhere.
If it does, I hope it doesn't. Like, I'll leave it at that.
I'm convinced those things. I'm like, it is so important to me not to delete old things because there's so much stuff. Oh yeah, it's like I would love to get rid of this off the internet, but I think it's so important for people to like, see the full progression of it. I think there's something beautiful of like, seeing where I am now and also seeing the bad YouTube videos I was making a year ago. It's like, here's 5 beginner photography tips, and it's like, maybe someone still watches those and enjoying them. I'm not that proud of them. I'm not that. I don't think they hold up. But if it helps someone, great. And also, I think I think it is worth something to see where I think I found some level of success now where it's like, now this is my job. This is what I do full time.
Exactly.
Like there's some growth since this day of being desperate for anyone to pay attention to anything. And it's like, I don't know. I think I really cherish that, like, it makes me feel bad, makes me look bad to watch it. But I really cherish that it exists and that someone else can go,
You're being
fuck, if I started
critical.
there, then I think my counterpoint here is that, like, I think when people get rid of all their old stuff, like the classic things, we're releasing a new album, we're going to get rid of all the posts off our Instagram. And my problem there is like what you're getting rid of is all the learning process. So
that's
some 16-year-old who's now getting into this goes and looks at your Instagram feed and goes, fuck, I can't do that. And it's like,
because they think you're starting at the top.
And if you saw the 10 years that they just deleted, you'd be like, oh, I can do that.
That's how I feel about Knocked Loose's Instagram right now. I'm like, dude, I saw you in like a burning down church. Like, brother.
100%.
And now you're playing festivals.
Yep. Yeah, I have
now everybody thinks this is where you started. Like,
yes. And I think they have done a good job. I would give them credit of like, I think that they have done a good job of staying like, I don't know. I'm trying not to name names here, but it's like there's plenty of bands that have outgrown and become celebrities or try and think they're celebrities here. I'm thinking, fuck it. All like the Ice Nine Kills of the world of like, what are you doing charging $500 for someone to come beat your music?
yeah.
It's like,
fuck
this is
that,
so out
dude.
of touch of like where you were and what you started as. And to me, I think Knocked Loose has done a good job of being like, no, we're Oldham County. Like, we've always been these little country hicks and this is what we love and this is who we are. And I think they've done a good job of like, like with the Kimmel thing specifically, there's a post or a moment that I think Brian or maybe Isaac, one of the guys in the band's posted of like, they kind of had a hug the moment of like, can you believe we were in a garage 5 years ago?
Yeah, no, for real.
And to me, it's like, that is what I want. I want people to see them on Kimmel and also realize of like, oh, this is doable. There's a road to this. Where I think someone in the Ice Nine Kills, it's like, that feels impossible. It's like, no. We all saw them before they were that, and they're going to pretend that doesn't exist, but it absolutely does exist.
Yeah, it's like, there's a couple bands I like look at just from a starting point of just starting from nothing. That's like Turnstile and Knocked Loose. Like, granted, Turnstile's like obviously changed their sound enough.
Sure.
To where they're not just like a D-beat kind of band anymore. But
yeah.
Knocked Loose has consistently been the same genre. I think like they got maybe more melodic, but like who fucking cares?
Yeah.
They're still like doing the heaviest shit that they can.
Yeah.
And it's still commercial, which is crazy, especially now.
Yes.
But like fucking starting from nothing and then like playing Jimmy Kimmel is crazy. Like who the fuck does that?
That was my favorite part of the Jimmy Kimmel. Or like everyone wanted to put their take out on it because they wanted the clicks on it. And like whatever, cool. Get your retweets on the post.
Yeah.
My favorite take on the whole thing was like it's crazy that they've only gotten heavier.
Yeah.
And they're still doing this, right? Normally the trend is that they would have gotten to a point and go, we can stay in our little hardcore circle, or we can go play arenas if we just soften up. Just
That's Bring Me the Horizon. It's like exactly them, where they were like, we're gonna put out the worst deathcore album of all time, and then we're gonna get really shitty metalcore, and then we're gonna put out 2 really good albums, which was like the December Eternal one, and then like True Friends or whatever.
Yep.
And then after that, they were just like dance, which is cool. I listen to it. I think it's like on a mixing standpoint because I'm like,
yeah,
that's my world. It's really good as a reference point to think of bands who can do that. But I'm at the same time, I'm like, motherfucker, do some breakdowns.
Yes.
God.
Somehow their growth has felt like slow enough and organic enough that I believe that it's just them being 5 years older at each release.
Yeah,
where like there's some bands where it's like, a year ago you were not this. What the fuck happened in this year?
Yeah.
And it must be money on the table is the only answer that makes sense.
Oh, another good band that's in that same space where they've just kind of stayed the same thing as like Northlane.
Yep.
Yeah, like.
Yep.
I know they're still kind of like roughly tied in with Gent.
Yeah.
As a name, but like I don't know. They've been the same. They've just get better.
Yeah.
Because their like maturity extends to just better songwriting. I feel instead of just focusing on riffs, they still have them, which is good. But yeah, it's just like good. I don't know. There's a lot of bands who get older and start sounding bad. Like I love Job for a Cowboy. Their new stuff fucking sucks. Like it's not. I mean, I shouldn't say fucking sucks. I would never write shit like that. Sure. But it's prog metal. Yeah. It's not deathcore.
Yep.
Like.
It's for someone, but it's not for the someones that made them what they are.
Yeah,
today,
yeah, exactly. And that's Knocked
Loose.
Knocked Loose is still for the people that they started with, unless they're like, fucking, these people are too famous for me to care about now. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Enjoy music because you like music, not because they're fucking in your space.
They're one of those bands that's big enough that I'm sure there is someone out there with a bad story to tell about them, but it's like, at a certain point, everyone's gonna like. I've had to accept that of myself. Of like, I would like to believe I've done I've done hundreds of music videos at this point. Like, I would love to believe that every single person has had a great experience with me.
Yeah,
I believe that they have. Mathematically, it's very unlikely. Mathematically, there's probably someone from 4 years ago who's like, nah, I didn't really like that guy. I didn't like what he did. I blah 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 whatever. And it's like, yeah, I don't like that. It is important to me to get everyone has a good experience, but mathematically, it's unlikely. And by the time you're knocked loose, it's like, yeah, it would be impossible for someone not to have a bad story.
Yeah, like I can't imagine being like a pristine and like clean everything, but
yeah. And that to me is where it's important then to keep all the old posts of like, I want you to know that this is where I started from. I want you to be able to see the first videos I've done for $34.
Oh, for real. Like all of our first promo material was like our friend taking the pictures and then like me on my iPhone.
Absolutely.
I'm getting clips of the ground.
I have done way more work for free than I have for a single penny. And it's like, that's just kind of the nature of it. Yeah, I think it's important to me to stay in touch with that. And like, also for me to remember that person. Like, I don't want to delete that and pretend that I just got here. It's like, no, I got here by working hard and staying with it over time.
Yeah.
And then there's a road to the next level.
Growth is huge.
Absolutely, yes. Your growth starts with this, on the count of 30 band. Do you remember how that parts ways? Like, is like, do you leave there? Yes, of course.
Funny.
I know bands tend to part ways on complicated circumstances, so please don't throw anyone under the bus unless you are eager to.
No, there was, I don't think I've ever had a band split. Okay. With that one is really amicable.
Yes.
That
if there's
one
a story that's fun, then please.
We were playing a show. I hurt my ankle, but didn't tell anybody in the band that I hurt my ankle.
Classic 16-year-old behavior.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, like, I wonder how old I was. I was probably 13 or 14.
Okay.
And like, just being like a baby, not answering the band chat. They're like, yeah, we're fucking playing like the Bull Run, which is like city music's just like a random one-off show a year thing.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, cool. And I have a double bass drum kit, and I like pack it up for 1 second. I'm like, I'm not doing this. But I like hurt my ankle anyway, and I just wasn't answering the band chat.
Classic.
And they got another drummer to do it. And I was like, that's a way better idea. Like, do that. I don't want to play drums anymore. I'd rather just play my basement. And then, so that split up. And then I immediately joined another band on guitar, and they were called Stoic Seizure.
Stoic Seizure.
Spelled, oh man.
I didn't know there was a spelling here. That makes this even better than it could have been.
Dude, Stowik. That's how you spell Stoic. Seizur, no E. So just both words spelled wrong.
I'm praying that this was unintentional, that you were just not good at spelling at the time.
I came into that band after it was like already together for a year.
Okay.
And like, yeah, they were like, oh, dude, some drunk kid came down into our base. So it was just like, fucking Stoic Seizure. And like scribbled it on the wall. And they were like, that's our band name, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
I would like to say it's bad. It's not necessarily the worst metal I've ever heard, but it's like full on real metal.
Okay.
And
you're playing drums in this, or still?
I was playing guitar in this one,
okay,
yeah.
you moved up.
And which sucks because like there was like some internal beef in the band. I was like very obviously the worst guitarist, and they were like, "Dude, we fucking like we fuck with you more right now because you're like you just focus yourself and you like can write music and you're like the lead guitarist now." And I'm sitting there like I'm just gonna play the rhythm still if that's cool. So that was like that.
Born to be a vocalist is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and then it just like the vocalist. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
The vocalist shtick was I started a emo band and I was like, I want to play, I want to sing.
Okay.
I wrote all the music. It's the same thing I do with all my bands. I write all the music and hand it to people.
Okay. Is this
And
the same 16-year-old era-ish?
Sort of.
Okay.
It's like 18, 19, I think was when I started. Because like, oh, fuck. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. Stoic Seizure recombined with On the Count of Three and then turned into
Whoa,
a
super band.
Yeah, super band with like, it was 6 people because we had 3 guitarists, which is fucking don't do that. I don't care how popular your band is, first of all. That's like having 2 vocalists.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Yep.
Like backtrack it. Get an iPod.
It worked when we came as Romans having 2 vocalists, but I think that time is kind of coming on at this point. Yeah.
I'm so like, if you can't just do it all, just learn something. Learn bass.
Yep.
A really good example of that is It Lives, It Breathes. This is they're pretty roughly dead now, I believe. They had 2 vocalists at the time. One who was screaming, one who was yelling. And what they did was they took the screamer and turned him into the bassist. And that's better. Do that. For every band, do that.
Yep.
If you can't learn bass, cut your hands off. You can probably learn it easier with nubs, to be completely fair. But like, just do that.
I know there's like 3 bass players listening to this who are so insulted. But 100%, I've always had the same thought of like, compared to Jason Richardson, it's like, I'd much rather be Jason Richardson's bassist than Jason Richardson himself.
Yeah.
Like, easy, no questions asked.
God, yeah. Just to save face with the bassist. Les Claypool's really cool. Who else matters? Victor Wooten's sick.
Is it Misha, the Periphery guy?
Misha Mitzer is their guitarist.
Oh, my bad. Okay. That's how much I know about bass players. The only bass
Oh,
player I know is actually...
Nolly's their bassist.
There you go. Okay.
Is there any other bassists that anybody cares about? No, those are like the 3.
It's one of those like, I understand and appreciate that it's important backbone to a band, but I'm still too musically ignorant to hear it. And one of my like mixing friends gave me this thing that kind of made me feel a little bit better. Of like, if the mix is good, then the guitar and the bass are kind of in the same sound frequency range.
Yeah.
So you kind of shouldn't be able to discern them. And that made me feel like 1% better here.
Yeah.
But
you'll hear it
still,
a lot in punk where they're just playing the same riff, except for Blink-182, where like, what's his name? I mean, Tom DeLonge guitarist. What's the other guy?
I'm the wrong person. That's what Blink-182, unfortunately. Yeah,
bass guy.
There's
Bass
Mr. Tom. There's obviously Travis, and there is another person in the band who is named. Someone's screaming it at home right now in their car, fucking driving the forklift.
I should know this. I love them. I just whatever. Just like
I need a Jamie to go Google these things for me, but that's next.
Jamie, look up the bassist of Blink-182.
We absolutely should know him. Yeah, he's our favorite person on earth, but we're too dumb to remember his name right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, him though, like they play 2 very separate things, so
Okay.
you can tell when there's those things happening. But with like, I don't know, metal, if you listen to like old Iron Maiden, same shit. It's just like they're playing the cool like the rhythm section, but it's still like leads and stuff on bass. It's weird. Good stuff for them. Fuck it, I don't know.
Every band needs one. Thankfully, not what I've got into.
Joe, My bassist.
Hell yes. He's number 4 on the list. We've had 3 bassists.
Oh yeah,
he's number 4.
There's 3. He's the 4th one. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we started this like emo. It was like some emo singy band, like 18, 19 years old. So is this the super band or is this after the super band?
This is the one after the super band.
Okay.
I left Eventual Wake. I don't remember why. I was probably just like I don't know, depressed teenager.
Classic.
But yeah,
that's how every band ends. If we're being
I
completely
need a
honest.
girlfriend, and I need to start my streaming career.
There we go.
And then didn't, and then and then I started the emo band, and that was, I think I probably tried to start like 50 other bands at the time.
Okay.
But
it seems like it's kind of been your MO. Is like you talk about like writing the music, you're producing the music, you're starting all these bands. Like you seem like you're a real like go-getter in that sense. Like you're always the first person in the room and trying to pull everyone.
Oh
up into
yeah,
the room,
like
kinda.
I will take an entire like 8-song demo and just be like, I'll hand it out to people like, can you play this? Can you play this? Can you play this? Oh yeah, cool. You're in the band. That's like essentially how everybody, because I was in Indigo North. That's how everybody in Indigo North started. It was like, I wrote a bunch of emo songs, like kind of on accident. I was writing a bunch of pop punk songs, and then I wrote one emo song for the pop punk band, and I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? We could just be this. And then I wrote the rest of them, and I handed it out to, I won't name drop everybody, handed it out to a bunch of people.
Whoever you want, yeah.
We got a cool drummer, Bobby LaFlamme. He's in the band. I think he's in Return Address right now, or I believe he is. And if he's not, I'm sorry. He is definitely in another band, Square Loop, if they're still a thing. But he's a really good drummer. Kane Perini. Oh, at the time he was in the band called The Fight Left Inside. Okay. Which is where this is. I swear to fucking God, I didn't pull these people intentionally. Kane Perini, Quentin Ilhart, 2 fucking absolute world class pop punk writers. Like, they are so good at what they do. Yes. I don't know what they're doing anymore, but they're incredible. Those 3 people were in The Fight Left Inside.
Gotcha.
Like, I wasn't like pulling them one at a time, like, quit your band. I was very specific, like, do not fucking leave this band. Like, I don't want to piss off anybody else in your band. I don't want to replace anybody. I just need people to play shows like once in a while. You don't have to write anything. I'll give you all the stuff to write, or I'll give you all the stuff to learn. Just like, we'll play it. Those guys came in, and then I got a bassist. I don't remember. We had like 3 bassists at the time. But all that was all together. We were all doing really good.
Did you say you had 3 bassists at the time?
Like we were cycling through several people. It's brutal.
I was like, hey, got 3 guitars on stage.
Yeah,
bad,
fucking
3
16
bassists
instrumentals. We were doing like an emo Slipknot gimmick.
Now that's a sound I need to hear. Yeah, 1 lead guitar and 3 bassists on stage.
I bet they're like the worst people you've ever met. That's a project.
I'm sure it exists somewhere. Yeah.
And then we played a couple shows, and I wasn't a singer, really. Like, I could do the yell parts because I would write yells into the songs, but I was singing them because I, like, couldn't trust, really, anybody. There wasn't a lot of people in the area to do it. So I was doing it, and I had, like, enough pitch control to, like, pull through a set.
And, of course, pop punk doesn't require complete pitch control and perfection the whole time. It's kind of defined by the rough around the edges nature of it.
Yeah, like, literally be whiny to a microphone. You don't need any theory. You don't need any, like, vocal training, just whatever. But I was tired of singing. And we were doing this emo stuff and like with like partial pop punk stuff like mixed in. And then my friend at the time was like, I want to do this. So like, let me come to your practice. And I was like, I don't want to fucking sing anymore. And I kind of just, this is the shittiest thing I think I've ever done in the band space. And I'm admitting this here now. I hit up the band chat. And I was like, all right, guys, I don't want to sing anymore. So which one of you is leaving so I can replace you? Like, it literally was that.
Jesus Christ.
And they were like, drummer. And I was like, fucking all right. Sorry. Like, you're great. But this is, I can't fucking sing. I just can't do it. So I became the drummer, and then we got a singer. And then some shit happened with him.
Band life.
Yeah. He left right when we were about to release a new thing.
Good timing.
Oh, fuck me.
That's fun. Yeah.
6 months of recording vocals. I had to condense into 1 week of myself re-recording the vocals.
Beautiful.
And then I also was able to add a few songs. Then we released the whole EP. Like, we shouldn't have, but we did. And this was like the band. It was like 2 cool ass guitars. Or I think it was a 4th guitarist at the time, but 2 cool guitars, fucking super good bassist, Jacob Karen. Absolutely.
Number 5.
Yeah. Like, he's one of those people who, like, will play exactly what you tell him to play.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's difficult or not. And also, he has just incredible gear. So, like, he's already, like, miles above most of the
That's
people.
a role every band needs. And I think it doesn't get talked about that much because everyone wants to be the quarterback in the band. But in my experience, every band needs a yes man. They need someone who's just going to be like, yes, I will play it. I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to go with the flow and do whatever in front of me. I'm going to play it perfectly.
Quite ideally the best wingman for anything creative because like every idea you have, he's not going to be like, no, that's bad, but he'll very quickly be like, yo, what if we did this instead? Which is huge. I try to do that, but like I have like a shitty level of pride where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I fucking try or whatever. Like when people are like, yo, let's try this, I'm like, fucking hate you. But he was super cool. And then I was back on vocals. We got the drummer who's in Ratblood currently, RJ Brothers. Oh my fucking god.
11 out of 10.
The guy.
Hell yes.
He is my boy.
Hell
I think if I'm ever in another band that's other than this, he will be like you're fucking following me. We're glued.
Hell yes.
So good. Such incredible live presence too. And he fucking knows how to talk, which is the best. But he was in that at the end. And we were like, that was the first time I think I ever took a band like super seriously, where it was like, yeah, we need a fucking IEM rigs, like everybody's wireless, like drums are fucking this, we need this, like we're gonna be like, I'm throwing out Snake at the sound guy, and like that's it, like take our shit, we're good to go.
And at the time you were 24, 22?
This was so. The last show we played was either in 2021 or 2022, but we started in 2019.
Copy.
So. Yeah, right before COVID. And I was like, oh, dude, we were fucking getting up there too. Like the last show we played was in February of 2020. And it was like a basement show in Lowell, Mass. At like the Tip, if anybody knows what the Tip is. Coolest place ever. Shout out Camden Connor because he's fucking cool. Shout out Wismore and Aglet and Upon Our Broken Apologies. And every other band he's in. But we filmed a music video down there, and it was the coolest fucking thing ever. Like a dog shit room, but like our friend Caleb, incredible videographer and photographer. He started the family, so he like kind of split off the creative route. But just like he's like one of those dudes who gets it. Yeah. He's like never done a music video before, and he's like, "Yo, let me try." And like it was just perfect. First time, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Hell yes.
So we were like in a shitty little room doing that, and it looked fucking beautiful. And then. COVID fucking took over.
Oh yes, I spent. So I picked up my camera in 2016, and at that time it's just
a long time ago.
Let me just show up at any show I can get to, and I think my first year I shot over 100 shows, which at this point sounds insane. Like I can't fathom doing all of that. And of course, no one was paying me $1.
That's 2 shows a week.
Like, more, yeah.
That's like crazy.
And so at that time it was like I don't. Yeah, drive myself paying for the parking, like just doing it all just because I wanted to get better. And I was having fun with it, and I was enjoying it. And it snowballs and snowballs. And then by 2019, I've kind of been doing this for a while, and I'm starting to get paid $100 here, $100 there. And it's like, okay, I think that there's room for a job. Like I think this can be a thing. So I spent all of 2019 going, okay, January 1st, 2020. I'm leaving the real world. I'm doing this 100% full time, quitting all the jobs, quitting anything else that makes me money. I'm doing this full time. March 2020 rolls around, and it's like, oh, surprise, bitch.
Yeah.
But thankfully now at this point when I look back, it's like, all right, I think if I survived that year, then I can survive any year.
Yeah, no.
But it was quite the wild time.
What a stress test. Like, that whole time period was so scary, especially for music, because like, we didn't know how long everything was going to get shut down.
I think, it's this like shared trauma that we all have that I think is so bizarre. Of like, there really was a time in June 2020 where like there were plenty of people saying, "Hey, we're never having concerts. Like this will never be a thing again." And that was not controversial. That was not a hot take. That was very much
that was like the reality.
Yeah,
which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and it was like, if we have shows again, it's gonna be this like socially distant, 6 feet apart. We're all gonna be in taped on squares on the ground kind of shit. And it's like, it's this bizarre of like. I understand the pandemic has become political and controversial in a lot of other ways that aren't interesting to me, but like this shared cultural trauma that we all endured and just don't talk about it anymore is so bizarre to me. Of like, we all just pretend it didn't happen, and I think understandably because we can't make sense of it. We haven't made sense of it yet. We haven't processed it. Like, but it is this weird of like, for our whole scene and for a lot of other people, of course, for us, we're talking about like our passion. I know that people are talking about like their health and much more serious things.
Oh yeah, there was definitely more things to worry about than the local music.
But like, so I don't want to be ignorant to that. Kind of numb to that. But like, and also there was another part of this that was relevant to us of like, it's so bizarre to me that we've all just pretended that it never happened and that life is normal and that we've just all...
No, I agree.
And it's like, no, that's a fucked up thing we all went through and had to stare in the face of like, what's next?
Yeah.
And I don't know what ripple... Like, to me, there has to be some ripple that has come from that. I don't know what that is. Like, I think one version of this is that we're seeing like a bunch of like 16-year-old kids coming through TikTok And I think to some degree, this is our world in 2020 going like, we got to find some way to exist. So we go online, and then that makes it accessible to a new era of people who wouldn't have gotten involved.
For sure.
Like I try and find these like silver linings that seem positive, but it's like what a wild time that we just lived through and pretend never happened.
Yeah, like that definitely, like, obviously we're living in the digital age, but that like really pushed it. That was like, algorithms were the only way bands were making a living. And
it was all live streams.
And that's a gamble too. Yeah, and especially that, which is so cool to see at that time. Like Fortnite was just like, you can't fucking go outside, but you can play a concert in the game.
Yep.
But yeah, like, man, the shame is like TikTok. Like, I don't fuck with TikTok personally. It's getting like taken down like this week or something. It's very soon. It's just getting removed.
I don't know if I believe that. Like, I
think there will be like a last like rug pull. Like, you can't fucking do that.
I think people, and to me, it's like, I don't. If nothing else, I think there's so much money tied up in TikTok that like we'll just like, I don't think it's gonna be Instagram Reels. Like, I think that we will just rebrand to Tac.
Yeah,
it's just gonna pop up.
Yeah, because it was like Musically at one point. Now it's TikTok.
Yeah, like it's hard for me to imagine. Like, we've done this, and I understand that, again, it gets into political stuff that I'm not going to get into. I don't know who owns the app and what. I'm sure they're stealing all our data. I'm sure also Facebook's taking all our data. Like, I don't think it's fair to single out TikTok, and maybe they're worse. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I'm over my head here. But the gist of it to me is like, there's this thing of like, it's going to be gone. It's like, I don't think so. I think there's so many people making so much money off of this thing that it's not going anywhere.
I don't even really think people care about the fact that it's a video platform. It's just, it has the most like advanced algorithm of all time. Like an unbelievably advanced algorithm.
I think it's I think their algorithm is fascinating to me because it isn't just putting content in front of you. I think what they understood is that people's content has to do well for them to stay on the app.
Yep.
And so one part of TikTok that's fascinating to me is like every 10 posts, something will do well, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's because of that post being good. I think it's the app going, hey, we got to give someone some leverage here. Now, I also think a lot of those numbers are probably inflated and fake. I think TikTok knows that like if on Instagram, like we always talk about Instagram and Facebook reach of like, we don't post on Facebook anymore because it's so bad and bands don't get any likes. Yeah. I think if Facebook was smart, what they would do is take all the army of bots that I'm sure is on every social media platform because that's the nature of big numbers, and they would just inflate everyone, give everyone 10 more likes on their posts.
Like incentivize a reason to use your platform. But TikTok nailed it.
And with TikTok, it's like, I don't know if those 100 likes are 100 real people, but I do see a number 100 and go, ooh, I feel good now.
Keep going.
Brain goes burr, and I'm going to stay on here. Which then also incentivizes of like, eventually I will make something good that people do care about. And it's just like weird of like, I think the algorithm is good. I think they've done a good job of just giving us candy in the algorithm once in a while to make us feel better than it actually is.
Respect to like a lot of app developers who do make it accessible. I know we kind of live in like a microtransaction space.
Yeah.
Like everything is microtransactions. But like obviously that's growth because everything is free now.
Yep.
Well, a lot of things are free. But yeah, that like definitely gives people a reason to continue using a platform that they don't necessarily have to support monetarily, but can support just by inflating its numbers.
Yep.
That's huge.
And of course, by using the platform, you are supporting them financially because they're going to sell your data. They're going to sell you an advertisement. They're going to, again, I go back to like the Clash of Clans model here, which is my favorite mobile game. Nice. Yeah, I won't say anything nice about it, but unfortunately I spent too much time on it. It's like, that's a game that is free to play. And I guess Fortnite is maybe the best example here of like, it's free to play. All their money comes from 1% of their population. Yeah. All they're trying to do is get enough people in to get this whale to buy all the shit. And I think TikTok's the same thing of like, they're trying to get all the bands on there because eventually one of the bands is going to run their ad campaign, and that pays for every other band that they gave likes to. Yeah. Where it's like, they are playing the game well in the modern age. Yeah. In a way that Facebook seems to just fuck up and not understand at all.
Yeah. Like that whole meta business model is just like, give people the bare minimum so that they are starving.
Yeah. And then they put money in. It's like, no, you don't put money into the thing you're starving for. You put money in when it's already going well. You're trying to accelerate that progress.
Yeah. Like it's so hard to lift stuff off the ground nowadays too, especially with like music. Yeah. I would say it's probably harder for a business, but like for music where your whole thing is you need exposure to grow. Oh God. Yeah. Like I know because we're about to put out music and like we've already talked like we have to put so much money in ads because we can't let it flop just on the basis of the fact that the networks we are using don't necessarily push this to people's eyes. So we have to like fucking pay off the mob and be like, hey guys, let us fucking do our thing.
I think my 2 cents there is I think bands tend to overthink what content means. Where I think when we're talking about an EP rollout, everyone's going to like playthroughs and music videos and all these And to me, there's a band that I had on here, or a vocalist I had on here from a band called Scooped Up, and they're a pop punk band around here.
Oh, cool.
And they do a brilliant job of just like a little skit of just like being with your friends and making a 5-second funny video that has really no musical involvement in it, but just by holding the CD, by talking about the band, like it does function as promo.
Oh yeah,
and it functions like it goes up on the band account, so it creates momentum there. So when the music does come out, there's eyes on it.
Yeah.
And I think with most bands, like they get caught up in like, oh, it has to be professional. They have to hire someone like me to do it. And I'm always laughing. I'm going to put myself out of business if I sell this too well. But it's like, no, I really think it's about sitting on your couch and being like, put out an album today. Here it is. End video.
Yeah.
Post.
Just be organic and quick.
Mm-hmm. And I think I think it's a numbers game, right? It's like most of those posts may not do well.
Yeah.
One of them will hit because that's
do
how TikTok
100
does
of
it.
them because they're gonna land.
Yes, and over the course of 100, you will also learn what does and doesn't work. And I think people get so paralyzed by this fear of not starting that they end up not doing anything. And it's like, a bad promo campaign is way better than no promo campaign.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, but yeah, just at the end of the day, if you're pumping that with money, good for you.
100%. Yes,
that's gonna drive you a lot.
Absolutely. Bigger. Yes.
I don't know how much of growth is organic anymore. I would like to think a lot of it is, as like a person who is very like, oh, I just want everybody to be happy and like everybody get what they're doing and like have it be worth it. But I just know at the end of the day, everything's fucking paid, which is rough.
Yeah. I think the other piece of that is like having a strategy. What came out to me was like for a while, part of why this podcast starts. Like they think this podcast starts for a lot of good reasons, and one of the bad, shitty reasons is like I need a marketing plan for my business and what I'm doing. This is a good.
I wouldn't say that's shitty either.
It feels not wholesome. Where I think most of what I want to do is like I just want to talk to people. Like I like being a part of the community, and like when I was shooting 100 shows a year, I was involved in every part of the community. Now, if I'm doing 20 music videos a year, it's like I'm involved with way less people. Like I'm just not involved in this thing that I like being involved in so much. So this was a good way to like, get that fix of like being involved with the community and meeting new people and getting to, do all the things that I loved about the community without having to go shoot 100 shows a year that I don't have time for anymore. The flip side there is like, it is also a marketing plan. And what registered with me or what I heard someone say is like, gambling on like word of mouth is like trying to win the lottery to make your income. It's like,
exactly.
Maybe the word of mouth will work, but you need to have some active thing you are doing to put the music out. And that's where we talk about like organic growth. It's like, yes, I don't think we're at a point anymore where we can just put the record out and be like, if people like it, they're gonna like. That's marketing on hope. Like that is a terrible business model.
That's the Motley Crue. Like, play fucking Whiskey a Go-Go every day. And maybe somebody who matters will see you because they're in the fucking richest part of the world.
Yes.
Like, it just doesn't work like that.
And I think that the modern iteration of that is like, put a TikTok out every day.
Yep.
And watch what fucking happens.
Fucking
like,
cool. Post an Instagram story. When we're doing that every day, like, we get more interactions. I'm like, we should just do this shit.
And it's not as sexy as playing Whiskey a Go-Go. Like, I'd much rather, I understand why.
Lacking the leather pants.
I understand why it's a shitty and, unfun model to buy into. But it's like, it's not rocket science here. Like, and yes, I've seen plenty of people succeed off of this formula of like, be consistent, put out something, and trust that, over time it will happen and will change for you.
I'm praying.
Beautiful. We covered a lot of stuff. We get to some point here. We're in the emo band. I assume Ratblood is on our horizon here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I wrote like the Ratblood music around the same time I was writing that like pop punk stuff, like before Indigo North, and like that was. Originally I had started a band. I think it was called like Underhanded. This is supposed to be like the heaviest, craziest band.
Hell yes, okay.
Like very. I don't know if you know who Degrader is, but
absolutely.
So, like when Degrader was popular.
Mortal Reminder.
You had Liam on here. So that's crazy. But like when they were all a thing, I was like, oh yeah, I want to kind of do some shit like this. It'd be cool. Just because I saw people like fucking beating each other up.
Degrader was. They had a run around there where it's like. At that time is when Current starting, Boundaries are starting, and it's like they are in this category of bands. Like, we don't know which of these 10 are going to make it. Someone will, and Degrader very well could have been.
It really was like I love Boundaries, and I love the members of Boundaries. I genuinely feel if Varials and Degrader didn't kind of flop, I shout out to Varials and Degrader, or I guess old Varials and Degrader, but if they didn't kind of like fall off, Boundaries wouldn't have had space to like sneak through them because there was such a big shadow from just those guys. Boundaries is fucking huge now. They're so sick. Like they have the perfect lineup too. Like everybody in there is just like
Liam was on here when I think he said it on the air, and if he didn't, then I'm saying something that he said off air, but it's flattering anyway. But he was like, Matt's one of one. Matt from Boundaries was going to make it regardless. And of course, I know Corey is the other big songwriter there. Of like, Corey is so dedicated and good at what he does, and Matt is such a unique voice that it's like it's hard for me to believe that they wouldn't have found space somewhere. I think like at that time I toured with Boundaries and I toured with Varials, and it was like,
oh, that's cool.
They were 100% A and B, and I don't know who would you give A and who would you give B to, but 100% it was like this 2-horse race of like something's gonna happen from this package.
I think if people want to look at this, I know this is a little offshoot about talking about Varials and Boundaries, but I think right now, especially in the space of people who are getting popular, there are 4 really big bands that are, and they share one very specific thing. Kublai Khan, Boundaries, Varials, back in the day at least, and then Knocked Loose is huge for this. They all have vocalists who fucking sound like nobody else. Like, I don't know anybody who sounds like Travis from Varials. I don't know anybody who sounds like Matt from Boundaries. I don't know anybody who sounds like Matt from Kublai Khan. I don't know anybody who sounds like Brian from Knocked Loose. Like, and like right now, especially with Kaunashi popping up, Peter Ono's voice is so different than anybody else's voice that they're all blowing up at the same time in the same like hemisphere, because these are all like all, I guess other than Kublai Khan, but they're all roughly East Coast bands, and they're all getting the same traction. They're all ramping up at the same exact speed, and like, I'm so excited, especially for them. I'd like to think I have like a unique-ish voice. I'm just fucking yelling into a mic, but like, I think
that is unique. I think what makes me laugh is like there's 100 people out there trying to be Matt right now. And it's like, you idiots. Matt became Matt by being Matt. And whoever you are, I don't know, Mr. Person listening, it's like, figure out who the fuck you are, because you're not gonna be Matt. Matt is his own thing. And we're talking about, whether we're talking about Kublai Khan or the Boundaries Matt. Like, they are one of one. And it's like, go find whatever that one of one.
And that started, I feel like, with people wanting to be angry and then hearing like, this is back to Slipknot, where like Corey Taylor is the only fucking person who sounds like Corey Taylor. That's a lie. His son sounds exactly like him, but that's different. That's like, go get birthed by Corey Taylor if you want to sound like Corey Taylor. But like, that is such a huge thing, and I feel like a lot of people tried to emulate that shape, but don't like, you're not gonna, you can like, okay. Extreme Metal Vocal Institute, whatever. Cool. Like, everybody who's involved in that thing is super nice. But, and it's teaching a way of vocals that everybody can do, right? Because like, everybody can learn how to sing, but nobody's voice sounds the same. But with these techniques in that space, they're kind of all going to roughly sound the same, because it's like, it's not your voice, it's more of air passing through you. And I think the greatest metal adjacent vocalists of all time, I think all have a unique thing that is not a technique. I don't fucking know what Corey, I don't know what I do. I don't know what Corey Taylor does. I don't know what all these other 4 bands do. Like, I just know that they all sound unique. They're themselves, and like everybody who tries to emulate them falls off. Fucking first off, not to talk about shit about this. This isn't a shit talk. I think this is. Shit, I think this is really. This is really impressive. Travis from Varials sounds a very specific way. I think Liam from What a Reminder somehow like really gripped onto that tone. Whether it be natural or like emulation, it's still his own thing. But those are 2 like close relatives. I feel like they are the same noise, the same way. So if you want to learn that style, talk to those 2 people. Bother them on Twitter. But I don't know. Learn your own thing. I think it's something I also try and keep in mind of myself. Of like, it's so easy to watch other music videos and be like, I want to make that. And like, no. The best thing I can make is whatever my tangent here is like my recipe of me is like, it's more rap at this point, like bad SoundCloud rap and like Suicide Boys type shit than like. And to me, it's like, I won't stand by that as good music. Like, I will never be like, this is better than Bring Me the Horizon or whatever good metal band. Like, to me, it's like I define Bring Me as like objectively good, and Suicide Boys, like, I enjoy it, but I don't know if I would argue that it's good. But to me, it's like, okay, then my job as a creator is to find where these 2 worlds meet, and that is my voice. That is me. And by trying to be either one of them, or like, there was, I think at some point, like almost like a self-consciousness of like, I'm not really either of these bubbles. And it's like,
perfect. Stop right there.
Yeah.
Don't try and be either one of these.
That's exactly what you want.
Appreciate that this is my blend of herbs and spices, so to speak, which I guess is has some connotations to it that I don't quite intend there from the classic song. But yeah, to me, it's like that is my own recipe. What is important to me then is to try and lean into that and like not be afraid of, not fitting into one of these circles. It's like, no. Fuck those circles. My path then is whatever these two overlap in.
Yeah, I think like we just worked with Ian.
Hell yes.
My fucking
Or Cart.
show. Yep. Literally an incredible human being. And while we were working on like, we did 2 music videos with him. While we were working on them, I'm like, here's like the idea. I would just like send a video link and be like, this would be like an idea like this would be cool, but I want it to look nothing like this, ideally. Which it was really cool working with him, especially the first one we did. I'm just dropping. We have a song called Fracture coming out and a song called Exit Wound coming out. Those are our 2 music videos.
Here first, folks.
Yeah. Fracture was shot like my drummer and my bassist lived together in like a very shitty apartment in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's not shitty, I shouldn't say that.
I don't live in the nice
with
apartment either, so
an
I
apartment building with a
yeah.
shitty attic and a shitty basement, we'll say that. So we shot them in those 2 locations for that.
Yep.
And the idea was like, we're going to break some fucking mirrors and literally every shot is going to be through a broken mirror somewhere. And like you're going to aim the camera through the mirror. That's on all the fractals are going to be there and you're going to be aiming at somebody who's over here. And that as he's like fucking around, he's like, I want to try this. And I was like, ooh, yo, what if you tried this? And like it was like that was the whole day. And he would just be like, that looks fucking crazy. Everything looks so fucking crazy. I was super happy with it. And the second video was just like, like the White Room band videos. We did that. We entered the COAC room. And just did a music video where like 19 other bands have done one, but I don't care because every fucking band does it and it's cool.
Yeah, can't go wrong with clean.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. It still looks. Everybody does that White Room thing. Everybody, especially now, especially with like lawn chair youth getting super popular. Fucking love that channel by the way.
Yep.
I've been exposed to crazy bands there, but this space is so useful in terms of like interpretation. Where like you can have everybody in there all at once. You have one person at a time. You have 6 people in there and like one person standing off to the side. Like you can just do shadows. Like, these rooms are there's such a high variable count where nothing is going to be the same anyway. So all these White Room stuff, it's like, you can tell it's filmed in a white room, but it's a different thing every time. Yeah. Unless your formula is like lawn chair use where it's the same thing every time.
100%, yeah.
But like that's a formula. That's not
different thing. Yeah.
But
it's
like
a branding thing at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like
I want to do this thing that you are known for.
Yep.
Which you can go to people that like that. Like, who's a good example of that? Eric Easterday.
Eric Easterday.
He's
one of my favorites.
Yeah,
he is so incredible.
Everything looks so beautiful all the time.
Yeah.
But like people go to Eric not specifically, I feel like because it looks a specific way, but just because they know it's going to be fucking crazy. So if that's your thing, if your thing is it's going to be crazy, like that's what you want, you go to that person.
I've gotten to work under him on a couple of projects.
How was that?
Incredible. Like I've just been so impressed with him at every turn of like as a human being, just like kind and easy to work with and presentable, but also just like every time he had an idea, it was like, that is exactly what we're gonna do here. There's no reason to debate and figure out. It's like, perfect. Got it.
I would love to be in a space like that. Like,
he's one of one. He is incredible. Yeah, I can't say enough good things.
That's
about
some
him.
good shit.
Yeah,
like, but the music video stuff is like everything's gonna look different. You don't ever want to like. I've been, especially with musicians. I've worked with bands. Like in studios so many times where they're just like, we want to sound like this band or we want to do riffs like this band. I'm like, dude, no. Like, I respect it. Like if you have influences, have influences.
100%.
Don't mimic your influences though, which I feel like thankfully there's a lot of bands in this area that don't do that, where it's like Rose Lane sounds like Rose Lane, Shape Thrower sounds like Shape Thrower, Canvas Crypt sounds like Canvas Crypt. Like none of these bands sound like other bands. You can do a for fans of thing for them, but it's not like they're identical by any means, and that's perfect. And then you have, I'm not going to name drop bands, but you have like those very local core bands where it's just like everybody's doing the same thing, and they're like, oh yeah, I learned how to build an IEM rig from like Fluff on YouTube from fucking 2019. It's just like cool, like do that, but I don't know.
I think there is like a weird line here that I always try to be mindful of like step one is recreating. Like before you have an original idea, it's I want to be Phil from Whitechapel. And then you do that for long enough. And after 5 or 6 years, right after the 10 years we talked about of your musical journey, it's like now you're at a place with Ratblood where you can start to be like, hey, who the fuck am I? What do I want to do? Whereas 13-year-old you joining, what was it, on the count of 3, it's like all you could do at that time was try and emulate Panic at the Disco or whoever the fuck you were listening to at that time. Like that's
it's just like Bullet for My Valentine core.
Yeah. And to me, like I was trying to find the fine line here of like, please don't emulate, but also that is the only place to start. There's no other way to begin. If you think you have an original idea at 13, you fucking don't, or the idea is bad. Like it's very rare that it's going to be.
It's definitely all part of the learning process. I wouldn't have gotten like to where I was on drums if I wasn't listening to Slipknot and learning like a whole Civil War versus album.
Yeah.
Like that changed everything. I don't write like that nearly at all. I think what I do take away from it is the fact that Joey Jordison did crazy fills, and like I still will apply that. But like,
but even that's inspiration. But it kind of has to start from emulation. I think that there's a very fine line there. Like I'm sure my first photos were like I want to take photos like X person.
Oh yeah,
and and it's like at a certain point it was like no, I want to make my own shit. But again, whatever my original idea was at 16 when I started this, it's like I'm sure it was bad. Like I'm sure emulating would have been a much more successful strategy that time than finding my own shit. But
I would definitely, for people who care, emulation, consider it part of your learning curve. I wouldn't consider it part of your creative curve. Only specifically because if you're writing a song that's like an emulation and you hand it off to somebody and they're like, this sounds like this, you'll either be grateful but like eventually you'll just get sad. You'll be like, fuck, everything I write is that. And it's like, fuck.
Yep. I have like a early vivid memory here of like I'm sitting in a car with my buddy and he's showing me a demo. And the demo and
the
whatever.
best time.
I've sat in so many fucking front seats and heard so many demos at this point that it's like I don't know what to tell you anymore. But I remember I heard it.
Dude, sounds like a demo.
I'm forgetting who I said. I think I said, "Oh, this sounds like Architects to me." And at the time, I was a big Architects fan. I thought it was a very, very flattering thing to say to the person, and they were kind of like, "That's what you think? What the fuck?"
Shit.
And it really stuck out to me. It was like, "Oh, part of the problem with emulation is we all have such different appreciation of stuff." That if you're trying to be architects and like that's gonna be great with one person and someone's gonna be like, what the fuck would you want to be architects for? And like, I think we should all aspire to be architects, but I'm not everyone. There's a lot of other people, a lot of other opinions out there.
I had like a really weird, like this is a slow burn, like, oh fuck, like kind of moment where I wrote a song. And like at the time, I was listening to a lot of like Killswitch Engage, so it was very Killswitch Engage. And I handed it I sent it to Nico Gasparini from fucking He's in Great American Ghost now. But literally one of the best guitarists on the planet. And if anybody doesn't fucking know that, you're an idiot. Learn.
The new Gag record is incredible as well. I believe it just came out or is coming out soon.
It's coming out. Either it just dropped or it's coming soon. Either way, I'm listening to it.
Yeah, the singles have all been great. And
oh my fucking God, the one with the flames. I was like, fucking dude.
Yes.
But like I sent him that and he was like, this sounds like Killswitch Engage. And like at the time, I was like, oh, thanks, cool, because I like them. And then like from that point on, it started to burn a hole in my brain. I was like, fuck, it does sound like Killswitch Engage. Shit. Like everything I write is gonna sound like Killswitch Engage if I don't switch this up.
Yep.
And that was really eye-opening for me. Just like that being compared to that thing. Because immediately I took that song and I scrapped it and I started writing other shit. And I was like, if this sounds like anything, fucking tell me. Because I'm not using it. Like I don't know what Ratblood sounds like, but it definitely doesn't fucking sound like Killswitch Engage, that's for sure.
Now that you are, in the driver's seat for Ratblood, do you find yourself like actually looking out, seeking out inspiration, trying to find new sounds to bring in? Are you like only listening to Charlie XCX? It feels like every hardcore person listens to now for some reason. Like,
I think I'll like,
What's your like listening diet like?
My listening diet currently is going on daily mixes on Spotify and just hitting play, and it will always be like Knocked Loose, Incendiary, Jesus Peace. There's a band called God Complex. I haven't really listened to them like actively, but I hear them all the time.
Yep.
And like all of these bands, I wouldn't say I gain inspiration from them, but they're such important bands that like it's so interesting for me to be like, wow, they write way different than me. Like I should try write something kind of in the vein where I'm putting pressure where they're putting pressure.
Sure. Because
a lot of people, especially when you're phrasing songs, like everybody's gonna do verse, pre-chorus, chorus, or just verse, chorus. Even
sure. Yeah.
But like, I think for the people who do like where they take their chorus and it's like the same words or whatever, but it's a completely different thing in the background. That's huge, and a lot of bands do that nowadays, and I think that's so impressive. And a lot of this is like Bohemian Rhapsody is one of those. This is so crazy.
Left field, but hell yes.
Local band Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. That song doesn't have a repeating part at all. It's like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, like that. That's how I've been writing a lot of the current, like the new Ratblood stuff. It's just like I'll do like a callback here or there, which everybody does, but I have a lot of stuff that's just like this part doesn't get repeated. The only thing that gets repeated is like the words, maybe.
Yep.
And that's what I learned from bands like Jesus Piece or Kublai Khan does that. These bands that are just doing parts, they're not doing structure, because at that point it's just like it's a flow of pressure. It's a flow. Yeah, exactly. It's like a flow of pressure. Yeah. Where it's like, where's your bottleneck before something gets heavy? And then after something gets heavy, how do you end it? So you have to bottleneck it again to an ending. But like, I don't know. I think that's my listening thing right now is bands that don't have a structure. They just have like a flow.
We've talked a lot of Knock Loose here. I heard an interview with Brian Garris where he described that all entertainment is building tension and releasing tension.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm hearing you say is like whenever you do put a chorus in, you're putting like a little release valve on that tension.
Yeah.
Whereas by not having that, by going for this like more organic flowing structure, it's like this tension builds the whole time. So then 3 minutes in, you can have this grand finale. Whereas if you put a chorus every 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever, it's like, that's great. That is, I think, what I think I'm still over like the more metalcore sing along, Memphis May Fire kind of flavor. So to me, that works.
Yeah.
But
That works. That's why it sells too.
And to me, this is where like Lorna Shore has been incredible. Of like to the Hellfire, I think that the Will's thing, like obviously he makes this crazy sound that no one else has made that catches on. But
I will dive into that so hard. Sorry.
But as I go back and listen to that song, it's like what I think they've done so great there is it's 7 minutes and it just builds and it builds. And every time a part ends, you go, okay, finally I'm going to get to breathe here. And then they come and just kick you in the face all over again. And then finally Will makes this crazy noise. And at this point, you've built up so much tension that is both unique and also this enormous release valve that then is like a euphoric, what the fuck is happening moment. And that's what takes them to where they are now.
It's a huge, and that's another band, or I shouldn't, maybe not the whole band, but like Will Ramos himself. He is a very heavily influenced vocalist, which is fine because he does like technique screaming. But yeah, like especially Into the Hellfire. Are you talking about like that snarl about that?
Of course, yeah.
Like that, all that shit. I remember when that came out and everybody was like, what the fuck? There's nobody does this shit. This way he's the best. I'm like, fucking Infernalia did that shit like 5 years ago. Like right here's the timestamp. And then, which like identical, but like not that matters. And then people are like, yeah, but fucking Cali Cap was doing that shit like also way before then. It's like, that's just that space. Like, But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like tension building is huge. It's the same thing with a movie. Like movies will have like random spikes because you have to keep people entertained. Your first, it's the thing with like social media. It's like the first 15 seconds has to be the coolest shit in the world, or else nobody fucking cares. That is so real. Yeah, but like imagine that 15 seconds having to be stretched out for 3 full minutes. Like that's where it gets brutal.
Yep. But yeah, it kind of struck me as fascinating. You're right. It is movies. It's every form of entertainment ever. It's football. It's sports.
It's everything.
That's why the fourth quarter is so fucking exciting. Because we haven't had an off valve, and then we finally get to this thing, and it's like, oh fuck, it's all coming together right now. Yeah. Beautiful. Hell yes. I had a bunch of questions here that we skipped over because we were happily talking about other stuff, which is beautiful and life is great here. 2 things I want to touch on before you and get out of here. We were past our hours. We are flying. Doing great here. No, I'm happy to chat for as long as we chat for. One thing I want to touch on here that I needed to hear your 2 cents on is this Bad Burger show. So 2 nights ago, you played a show at Bad Burger. For context here, I guess, yes, the episode has not come out yet, but Anthony was on here from Rose Lane last week, was talking about how they have this show coming up there. And it immediately to me was like, I need to know fucking everything about this place. And then today I was scrolling through your socials, getting a sense of what's going on today. And I was like, fuck, 2 days ago they just played this Bad Burger.
That's our second time.
What the fuck is Bad Burger? Please learn me everything about this place. I love places that have shows that are not designed for shows.
Yeah.
My example I always give here is like, some of my friends were on here talking about how they played a carpet store.
In Maine? It's like, is it the Lebanon carpet
I assumed
place?
I know it's somewhere Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. I assume probably the same one. So yes, that is like my number 1 spot. I grew up here. Speaking of Will Ramos, my memory of him was seeing him at he's playing with Awaken Providence at the time. Will Ramos, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But he was playing with Awaken Providence at a place called Hardcore Sweets. and it was like a cupcake store. And all the cupcakes were named after AC/DC and Metallica.
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
They would close their doors at 6 p.m. and then put people in the corner and have a show. And it was,
sick.
Awaken Providence. What is the band with Amanda Gillage? I'm saying her name so wrong here. It's another like New York Bronx band that's heavy. I'm forgetting the... Fuck, doesn't matter at all. But whatever. A bunch of heavy bands. And Will is, the person who at the time didn't know who's going to become, but now he's in Lorna Short's like, I saw you play a cupcake store.
Yeah, like he was in a band with Maddie for a little bit. I think he was in Depths and Tides for like a week. Or something. Or he was also in, it was Euclid. He was the first vocalist of Euclid.
Interesting. Okay.
I believe.
Anywho, so then, yes, what the fuck is Bad Burger? Learn all about this one.
It's just like Elm Street in Worcester, in Manchester, New Hampshire, is just like everything. There's nothing to fucking do in Manchester other than shit on Elm Street, and it's just like the corner. So there's like a full window wall on both corners, and it's just a burger shop. Like that's it, and there's also a bar in there. But like, one of the corners is like an elevated stage, and that's it. They just fucking throw shows. The guy, I don't know if he's the owner or if he's just like the head guy there, Ian. Ian's super cool. He's mad supportive of everything. Like, respectfully, you could be throwing like pop punk shows there, and obviously it's going to be like, oh, you brought a bunch of pop punk kids in, but they're throwing like fucking beatdown shows, and like they're going over well. Like, I'm not going to call names. There's a fight there. Like, Iron Gate just played there recently.
Sure.
And they're bangers. But there was a fight during their set. He was just like, no, it fucking happens, I guess. Like, he's a dude who gets the space.
Yep.
So that's what it's about. I don't know.
That's beautiful.
And they're like drink tickets, cheap food, whatever. I don't know. I'm straight edge. I'm
Sure.
like, water? Like, you have blue Powerade? Like, I'm 12.
Let me get a Sprite on the rocks.
And I can't even do soda. Like, that's how like much of a baby I am. Like,
hell yes.
But yeah, it's a cool spot. I would say it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially now that... Because like Joe, my bassist, is the one who like puts it all on. He's also the vocalist of Bleach Temple. I don't know.
Cool.
If you've ever heard them. He is the one who's like kind of putting them all together. Him and like the whole band of TFR. I think they kind of collectively throw stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
Incredible.
It's cool, though. Yeah.
How did the show go the other night?
I'm sure it went great for every band other than us. Where I was having a mental breakdown the whole time because we had like a fucking technical difficulty.
Yes.
And then just like other dumb shit that I overreacted about, admittedly. But like when it's your baby, you kind of care a lot.
Sure.
More than
that
you
is
should.
The nature of the thing. Yeah.
Allegedly, we sounded really good though, and people were like, "What the fuck was that?" Because we're like relatively unknown in the sense that like if you're not one of the homies, like you don't get the shape that we are. And then when we play, people are like, "What the fuck?" Because I am like the man who has a panic attack on stage the whole time, and that's where all my energy comes from.
Hell yes.
So people see that and like, but yeah, I had to leave early too. Because I like which I never fucking ever like leaving shows early. But sometimes you get a text that you're like, okay, guys, fucking, I gotta roll. Like
things happen.
Take care, do your thing.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
Beautiful. And then I know for Ratblood we have a couple things coming up. We chatted about a couple things here. What can we look forward to from Ratblood? So that sentence became one word out of my mouth, and I don't know what the fuck happened there. But
that's how I do vocals. It's just slurring everything. We're putting out an EP.
Hell yes.
I just literally like the other day wrote another song for it. Like we did a practice, and I was like, fucking 7th song, sure.
Hell yes.
But yeah. Two music videos. I did a bunch of fucking lyric videos for all of them, just as like their little back things. Yeah.
I think that's, again, going back to that TikTok thing, it's like cut all those lyric videos into 10-second clips and just every single day churn these 10-second clips out. Put an invert filter on them so it looks like it's different and just pretend that you didn't do one video and then make one click change to the whole thing. Like, that's the name of the game right now.
No, I feel that. Like, but that's it. We're setting up an EP release show probably. I'm local heroes here, the Burying Point. I really want them on there.
Hell yes. Very much friends of the show.
Yeah, dude.
They are from 20 minutes away,
The fucking coolest. They're we have that problem where we're usually the heaviest band on the bill, and then we'll play with them and I'm like, what the fuck? Like every time I'm like, thank fucking God. I have tall guy in the room syndrome too, because 6'2" and fat is rough when you're when you want to be smaller.
Yep.
So when I'm towering over people and they're also just big dudes, heavier music, I'm fucking always in heaven. I'm feeling super not looked at. It's so sick.
I appreciate you saying that. Again, I'm 6 feet tall, 6'1", whatever the fuck. And I'm, used to being the tallest person in the room. I work with a company that does a lot of concerts for colleges. So it's a lot of spring and fall kind of concerts on campus. Along with that, we've done some events for basketball teams, including the UConn men's team and a couple other D1 basketball teams in the area. And so there's a time where I'm standing in the middle of the UConn basketball team's huddle, and I'm looking, and all the coaches are fucking a foot taller than me. The players are 2 feet taller. And I've never been more uncomfortable in my entire life. Like, these kids are 10 years younger than me, but I feel like I am their son right now. And it was just, it was such an eye-opening thing of like, I've never been this uncomfortable. No one did anything. It was literally just the size of the human beings that was like, what the fuck is happening here?
It starts to make you feel like a diet person.
Literally, yes, that is
it's
great.
Such a weird.
It was, it's the very strange thing. So it's very relieving to hear someone else say that thing of like, it's weird when you used to be the tallest person in the room, and then suddenly there's other people in the room. It's like, what the fuck? This isn't right.
That's why it's fun playing in like Boston, because everybody in Boston's either like 1 foot tall or like 30 feet tall. So and everything's a basement there, so everybody's like hunched over, like slamming their head off pipes and shit the whole time, and I'm just like the middle height. It's the best. Oh,
hell yes,
love that.
Hell yes. As let's get out of here, couple things I'd like to end on, but I'm gonna pick one of them for the fun here. I'm curious about like interests outside of music. So we talked a lot about music. I'm curious, like, yes, we've gone through your kind of musical journey from what is it? On the count of three.
I wonder what they actually call themselves.
All the way through to rap, but we've kind of covered all the music part. I know video games were like a core part. We talked about streaming here. Like, what is something outside of music that you're currently involved in, currently interested in learning about, spending time doing? What is some part of you outside of the music world right now?
I fucking love video games.
Okay, hell yes.
Like, to an annoying degree. Like, I will always have modern hardware just to play everything. I will emulate whatever.
PC gaming. Oh, yeah. We're talking, the only master race. Yeah. I built a PC for video editing, and then it was like, oh, I can play cool stuff now.
Yeah, that was like me. I built mine because I needed it to work with like audio stuff, and I was just like, if I could throw a crazy graphics card in there, I might as well. And now I just play everything, whatever I want. I like grew up gaming. I literally, when I was born, was like, we already had a PS1 in the house. So like I grew up playing PS1, then we got a PS2 when it came out, and then Xbox 360. And then I got an Xbox One and like a PS4 at the same time or whatever. And like just I've always been around like the modern hardware. And I want to really like, as much as I appreciate video games, I've tried to get into like developing them to an extent. I really like Unreal Engine 5.
I've done a lot of music video stuff in there, and like
it's cool.
It's fun, and there is some part of my brain of like, at some point, I'm gonna make some. These are like mini golf games that me and my friends play, and it has like 0 players, and every time we log on, we're the only 3 players in the whole server, kind of thing. But like, I love these like little niche games, and at some point in my life, I'm gonna make some dumb shitty game that me and 5 friends could play, just because it'll be funny to say that I made this dumb bad game.
That's exactly my.
Has no polish, but is then fun because it has character and no pizzazz.
Yeah, like my like IRL friends are also kind of like my video game friends. So like, we're all in that space. We're like, we want to be the guy.
What's the game you spent the most time in the last month or so? What's been the one?
Oh, we played so fucking much Sea of Thieves recently. Just like, it's that, and then like Minecraft.
Hell yes.
I'm a Minecraft guy.
Hell yes. Are you building crazy things? Are you doing hardcore survival runs? What is your Minecraft flavor?
I don't know. I do such formulaic stuff where like every time I launch a world, I do the same shit where I just like, as long as I can get to bedrock and then like make a bubble elevator up, like that is my starting point. Build shitty house, make like a giant villager hall, just normal survival shit. I love plugins. I love mods. I do that with every game. And so whatever makes the game more quality of life efficient without me just being in creative.
It sounds like it's like a comfort game. I still play RuneScape, and I'm still on and off. I'm always trying to fight the urge of like, don't fucking sign back in. And then I sign back in, and then 6 months go by, and I'm like, fuck, I did it again.
Yeah, no, that's the life.
But it is, something comfort and homey of like, I don't need to win the game. I don't give a fuck about being good. I'm having a lot of fun just going through the process and cutting the same trees that I've cut 100 times.
Yeah, I like that.
There's something soothing and comforting about it.
There's like, that's the good repetition where it's like your uniform and like fit into it. Oh, I love it. That's why I played like when Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 came out. Oh my fucking god! Like the remaster for them. To 100% that game, you have to play it as every person and like do all their side missions. I did that in like a week. I was like, I need to fucking play this game 50 times.
Did you get into the new skate games that just came out?
I've been playing the beta test for Skate 4 or whatever it's called, Skate something.
Is it coming out or just came out?
It's coming out soon. They just did like the public beta.
Gotcha. Okay.
I've been playing that. I watched that from like pre-alpha. I was playing it in there, It was rough and bad.
Yeah.
And then like the next alpha was like still rough. And then like whatever they just released for the public, I was like, this is so good. Like
getting there.
what a good step up.
Hell yes.
And it's still like 2 years early. So I'm like,
GTA 6, what's the one on the horizon that you're like most eager for now?
Fuck God, if that comes out.
At some
GTA
point it will, in
6,
theory, right?
GTA
it can't
6.
be on the horizon forever.
Hopefully not. GTA 6 is gonna be sick.
What's the one that you just are
Elder
counting the days
Scrolls
to?
6.
Okay.
Dude. They need to announce something else about that. What was it called? Starfield? Whatever that other thing Bethesda put out, I was not incredibly impressed with. But dude, Skyrim was my fucking shit.
That's the one. That's a good one for mods. And I never quite got into that. I feel like I played the first hour of Skyrim 5 times, and I didn't get enough into it for it to catch on. I got bored in the boring part, and it's one of those. Everyone says like, just keep going, it'll get fun.
Yeah,
and I just never.
It's the whole shtick with which is rough because my friend Casey, he's a very like, I only want to do the story. I don't care about the side missions. That game it's side missions. Like if you do you can do the main story in like fucking 2 hours. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Everything that's fun about that is the side missions, and like that's why it's really hard for people who are like so used to linear games to play.
Which is me, I don't
if you like those,
I just want to do it. Yeah, that's why I think RuneScape works. It's like there's really no fucking thing. It's just like do whatever, and it all feels like it's linear progression, and it's not. It's I think I would argue one of the least linear games, but to me it all feels very linear because there's numbers that make my brain go burr.
And it's also like a start and the end kind of goal.
Yeah,
that's Grand Theft Auto's like the Grand Theft Auto difference to Skyrim or Elder Scrolls difference is that like there's a start to the story and there's the end of the story and there's like side missions in between. Like Skyrim is very like more specifically Skyrim is very like there's a start to the story, there's the end of the story, but that doesn't affect that has least effect on the world than more of the side missions do.
Gotcha.
Like you'll go to like each province one time. You'll in your side missions you'll go every time. Like every side mission is everywhere.
Gotcha.
I love that shit.
Hell yes. Auzi, man, I appreciate you coming through here. Episode 86 of From Everyone. My man, before you get out of here, what do you want to promote? What do you want people to know about? Where can they find you online? Follow the band online? Yes. What can people celebrate?
We're dropping music soon. Support Shape Thrower.
Early
Roseland.
2025, mid 2025.
Hopefully early 2025.
Cool.
We're thinking spring at the latest.
Cool.
Support Roseland, Shape Thrower, Iron Gate, fucking Kaunashi. Every band that we talked about today.
Knocked Loose needs some more love. We should go.
Yeah.
Check that one too.
This little known band, Knocked Loose. You got to get them bigger. They're struggling artists. Yeah, that's really it.
Beautiful.
Be cool. Don't be weird.
What's the best platform to follow you on? Where can people find you?
Probably Instagram.
Instagram?
At Ratblood HC. That's it everywhere. So like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook stuff. But
cool.
That's where we're most interactive.
Beautiful, man. Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time here.
Of course.
If you made it this far in the episode, please leave a like, comment, do something that makes my brain go burr. Otherwise, beautiful. Have a great life. We'll talk soon, folks.